Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Kramer with MRC-TV. Today we're speaking with a local resident of East Palestine, Ohio to talk to us about what it's like at Ground Zero. Tammy Chai, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So you're located just a little over 2 miles from the exact spot of the train derailment that happened a month ago. We just wanted to know, what has your experience been like for you and your community?
Well, first of all, I've been here 27 years and I've never experienced anything like this with the train system. I can't remember any derailments. I do know that they would fly through town all of the time, so it doesn't surprise me that this happened. But the first night, it was around 9 o'clock where the derailment happened, and I didn't hear about it until later on social media when I checked in, and I said to my husband, "I think the town is on fire," because we just live a little distance out of downtown, if you want to call it downtown. It's a small community, and we just kept watching all through the night. We stayed up just to look online to see what was going on and could not believe it. And then we started getting the information that it was leaking out that there might be vinyl chloride on the trains, and it wasn't confirmed. Saturday morning, my husband went to work, and one of the firemen who was there all night came in. He's a chiropractor, so he came in for an adjustment. He said, "Yeah, there's vinyl chloride on that train," and still no confirmation from any officials. It wasn't until Sunday that we got confirmation that there was vinyl chloride on that train, and that's when my husband and I decided we were going to evacuate. And in the process of getting ready to leave, um, sirens started going off on our phone. They thought the tanks were going to blow at that point because they were heating up. And we left town. We went 8 miles away, and it's just been a nightmare ever since we came back. It just seems like there's like I'm peeling an onion, and every day there's more and more terrifying information. So a lot of stress, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions not answered, and just a lot of agony just going through this. It's really quite awful.
Yeah, I mean, my family lives right near railroad tracks, and I always think to myself, if something like this happened, how would our community respond? How has this directly impacted you and your family's quality of life specifically?
We live under so much stress because one day we get up and we're like, well, maybe it'll be okay. And then we get information like that there's more of the chemical spotted in the streams. And then you're like, well, maybe we should start packing in again and get out of here. I live on the outskirts, so I am on a well system. I have a private well. I don't get municipal water, so my water can't be monitored. It's kind of a crapshoot. I think I talked to the health department shortly before I'm on here with you, and the gentleman I spoke with gave me some reassurance that they are testing near our area the more vulnerable spots because it is a sandy location by the main aquifer, and they are testing those wells constantly. And they promise that if anything changes, they will slowly move out into the area where we are, which is like about a quarter of a mile away.
Well, I wanted to ask, is there any development on getting independent testing done? Because I know that was a big concern for a lot of citizens.
Well, yes, we had our well water tested independently by a company in Youngstown, and it came back clear, except the company said we do not have the test, even though they're an EPA-approved lab, we do not have the test for butyl acrylate and two of the other chemicals that are on the manifest that was on that train. So you're uncertain there. But I did call the health department, and they told me that if I call Norfolk Southern and request a test, that the health department will also be there the day of that test, and they will take a um, of the tubes that they take of your water, and they will test from a different lab so that they can compare the results. It's kind of like checks and balances, which gave me a huge relief to at least hear that, because that's probably the best news I've heard in the past month.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Senator J.D. Vance has been down there. President Trump stopped by. And then eventually the head of the Department of Transportation, Mayor Pete, showed up. We wanted to ask you, which elected or appointed official do you think actually helped the most?
Well, J.D. Vance was great because he brought attention to the creeks, which were the chemicals are sinking to the bottom. So we've had lots of citizens out there checking all of the creeks in all different areas, and my husband was one of them. He's been posting videos online about this butylacrylate, alleged butylacrylate that's surfacing. So that sort of put the Norfolk Southern team on the spot, and they had to move their aeration system. What they're doing is they're aerating the water to get rid of the chemicals. So they're actually putting the chemicals back in the air. I don't understand, but that's what they're doing. But they're actually moving these aeration systems further downstream. So that was a good for him. When President Trump came, boy, was there a lot of excitement. It was pouring rain in the 50s, and there were people everywhere. And he had 3 different stops, and I was at the first stop and got to see him from a little bit of a distance. And then I ran like 8 blocks to the second stop to hope to see him again there. But that's where he gave his presentation. And then he went to the McDonald's, and people were really thrilled about that. You know, they make fun of it on the news, and he went to McDonald's. No, these people in town really needed that uplifting. Just needed, and plus he brought a lot of supplies and water, and everybody got their Trump water, and it was great. As far as the secretary, my husband was driving through town on that morning. It was around 9 o'clock. He said, "Hey, there's like about 40 reporters and 20 people hanging out by the police station. Do you know what's going on?" I said, "That's probably Pete Buttigieg," but there was really no one came out.
I wanted to also ask your thoughts on President Biden not coming, but going to Ukraine. What do the folks in your community think about that?
Well, you have to understand that we are a 70-30 split. As far as it's about 70% Trump voters. It's a big red community, but there are a lot of Biden supporters. People, well, they weren't happy, and
even aside from not being a Biden fan, to have the president actually pay attention to a crisis that's going on in your community, I assume that would have meant a lot to people, even if they're not fans of him.
It would have, and as time goes on, like I'm at the point, like I heard today that he may come. He doesn't know when, and I'm like, at this point, I don't care unless he comes here and pushes hard and gives us FEMA. I, I, I mean, people are just exhausted at this point. If it would have come earlier, it would have been a lot better.
Absolutely. What are you most worried about as things move forward? What's your number one concern?
My well water. Unless I test every day, or unless this health department gets it under control, I feel a little more confident today than I did yesterday. Yesterday was a day of tears and angst because my husband and I discussed just packing up and leaving for our own protection. We still don't know the dioxin situation, but for us, it's the water. And in town, the water can be controlled because the Muni system actually has a lot of filtering, so they can get those chemicals out. They should start to feel a little more confident, I would hope. But the people close to the derailment, and the derailment went for blocks. So there's a lot of people that were in that proximity of that initial smoke and the burn off. There's a lot of dust. We don't know what's in that dust that's settled. And also the people in town that have basements, they have sump pumps in there. And that pulls out the water, because in the winter and the rainy season, you're going to get water in the basement just because of the way the ground is here. And when you have to take that wet out of your basement, if that's toxic, which there's a lot of the water around town has chemicals in it, it's going to aerate it, and that's going to aerate it right into your house. So you're going to be breathing it again. So they're dealing with a different situation than I am here. And I don't know about my dioxin situation. That scares me too. That's something we have to have tested, especially the soil and if it got into our home. But we locked everything up before we left. So I hope not.
Well, I'm hoping that you get answers soon. It's been a month. I feel like leadership needs to take charge right now.
Right. I just, yeah, I just wish that our government would amplify our concerns, or take them and say, yes, we hear you. Like, where are the environmentalists? They should be screaming instead of saying that cow farts and gas stoves are going to kill the environment. We just had a bomb go off here that spread for, they say, 30 or 40 miles. I have a video. We were 8 miles away to the northwest of town. The initial smoke went to the northeast, and then the wind turned around, and the next day it started pushing it northwest. There is a smoke. We have it on video, a smoke trail that goes for miles, even over the area we evacuated to. It's unbelievable.
Well, Tammy, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. We really hope that you get answers soon, and we'll be closely following this story to see how it all works out for you guys.
Just keep us going in the news. We just have to keep loud and keep vocal and keep the attention on it so we can get this corrected.
Yes. Thank you.